So last year, you guys know, like I raised money for St. Jude and all that.
Yeah.
And I got a kit in the mail for raising for this year. So on the cool side, like every year they design their pins and all their like fundraising, media and marketing and all that around one of the kids' drawings. But they also sent a box full of like goodies for fundraising, right? And some of it makes complete sense. I mean, like there's a party popper. They sent some Bean Boozled stuff because people love to do that for fundraising. There was actually masks, like St. Jude, face masks.
Oh yeah.
And then there was this. And I'm not shitting you, this came from St. Jude. It's a bag of googly eyes. And I was like, but they're like smug googly eyes. Because like they have like the eyelid half closed on them and they have like a smug look to the googly eye. Let me pull one out.
See, we might have to get some clarification. If he wants eyelids on the googly eyes or just straight up googly eye.
But yeah, bag full of googly eyes. I have no idea what the fuck I'm supposed to do with this to raise money. There's
Put
not
them
instruction.
all over your face.
They're not sticky on the back.
Oh, well, that's defeats the purpose of googly eyes.
It feels like cardboard on the back.
Does it have to peel away like a sticker or something? No?
Nope. It's just cardboard on the back.
Glue them to your face.
Yeah, that might be the solution.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Bry Guy and His Super Friends. I'm your host, Brian Labick. Joining me for this episode is a jovial, obscure scholar of hobbies, Josh Zorch.
There's a lot of multi-syllable words in there. I'm assuming and I'm going to hope that most of them are positive in nature.
I tried to be fairly positive.
Did he not get it?
I don't know.
It went by really fast.
He didn't get it. Okay, we'll see if he picks it up on mine.
And finally, he's marinated in kind elegance, Mike Bradley.
You couldn't have said it any better. Yeah, I'm here. A little bit of a breaking bit of news for the audience here.
Uh-oh.
Next week, I will be streaming again for the first time in a few months.
What?
On YouTube.
A revival?
A revival on YouTube, yes.
All right.
I'm switching over from Twitch because, let's face it, I can't compete with the hot tub meta that's going on.
I have seen that going around.
On Twitch. So, I'm going to YouTube, and we're going to start streaming again next week. I don't know what yet.
Do you have, is it just the same channel, or do you have to plug a
it's
channel or anything?
Rare achievements on YouTube.
Okay.
You can find the channel there. And it'll probably be some Monster Hunter Rise content, depending on the day that they release the update, which they have not announced a date. There's an update with new monsters and stuff coming next week, or they just said the end of April sometime at the end of April. They don't have an actual date for us.
We are pretty close to the end of April.
Right. So, when that happens next week, I'll be streaming it, and that'll probably be the first time I come back. But I am not able to give you a day because they are not giving me a day, so...
Well, you got a little bit
bastards.
this won't be out for a couple, 4 or 5 days. So we'll see by the time this comes out. It might be very closely after that.
It could be. It could be all the way at the end of next week. I really don't know.
Also true.
So do I dare ask what a hot tub meta is? Is that just someone's username, or is there somebody doing some kind of programming from a hot tub? Because
There's literally just girls in bikinis in hot tubs on Twitch that are getting all the views.
Yes.
Are they doing anything? Like, are they playing video games while doing it?
No.
Are you familiar with Chatterbait?
Kinda. I mean, the general concept, yeah.
That, but clothed.
Okay.
They just
And
sit in a
they're
hot tub
on
and talk
Twitch
to
now.
Twitch.
Barely.
So if you're
Barely
there to
clothed.
watch them, you're in the chat talking to them. They are talking back to you, but they're in a hot tub or a little swimming pool.
Yeah. No offense, I kind of get it then.
This is what Twitch has become. This is why I'm going to YouTube. No offense, Brian. I know you stream on Twitch still. That's
not that often. I'm still gonna plug it at the end of the episode. So if you want to find us on Twitch, that's where we'll be. But yeah, I haven't hit the hot tub part of it yet. I'm not that low yet.
So you're not gonna be in a hot tub next week on stream? Because I think you should.
I think we should do our satirical Super Friends stream version,
splashing each other in the hot tub and like.
We need to get some waterproof mics and record from a hot tub for a live show.
We bought an inflatable last summer. I could blow it up in the backyard. We could each stream from our individual
roll up our
domiciles.
pant legs. We'll stick our feet in the water and just hang out on the edge of the pool.
Yeah, and if we can't be together, if we're doing a group stream, like just get a chair, fill up your tub, put your feet in the tub.
Yeah, we're spitballing some ideas. We'll see what happens when we get to.
Guaranteed, Brian is doing a live hot tub stream in the future. We're just going to work out the details.
Oh God, I'm already scared. All right, so for this episode, looking back, we're sort of in between some stuff. We talked about doing Falcon and Winter Soldier. We know Mortal Kombat is on the horizon. All of that stuff actually happens this coming weekend. So we're recording before the weekend, so we can't talk about any of that stuff yet. So to give you some filler, we're going to try to sub in with like a Geek News headline show. And I realized we haven't done one of those in a very, very long time. So I tried to look. The last one I could see that I think classified as like a news thing was the WB announcement for all their movies coming to HBO Max and Disney's call that announced like their upcoming slate of stuff that's coming to Disney Plus and all that stuff. So all that was published. We published that episode December 13th. So it has been like 4 months since we've done some sort of a Geek News episode. So there's a lot that we have not covered. So typically, when we do this, we try to focus on, 3 or 4 topics and try to dive into them, which we're still going to do. We're going to dive into some specific Marvel and DC casting. We're going to talk about the trailer for Shang-Chi. Sony has some other stuff in the works that they've been talking about. So we're going to talk about that stuff. But since it's been a while since we've done this, there are tons of stuff for us to cover. So I'm going to try something a little bit new for this episode. We're going to see how it lands. Basically, I'm just going to mention some of the other stuff that we are not really going to cover in great detail, but it has happened since the last time we did this. So if you've been following the show page on Facebook or Twitter, it's a lot of the same stuff I've been posting. If you haven't and just kind of listened to the episode, some of the stuff you might have missed. So it's basically just a way for us to say, hey, this is happening. If you're not in the know and follow this kind of stuff like we do, this at least gives you the heads up that, this shit's going down. And really, if you're listening and, well, I guess this goes hand in hand with maybe you have to be on a social media platform to let us know. But if there's any of these quick headlines that we cover that maybe you would like to hear us talk about in greater detail, please let us know. We can always spin back around, revisit these some more. It's nice to get some feedback here and there. So let us know. All right, so for this little thing, I'm sort of just kind of calling it quick hit headlines. So we're just going to go down the list. I'm going to give these guys a little bit of time if they want to chime in here and there, but we're not going to dwell on this stuff. We're going to try to keep it rolling. First up, any PlayStation owners? I have found out as of a couple days ago, they posted Horizon Zero Dawn Complete Edition is free for anyone. There is no PS Plus membership required. It is free to download until May 14th. So that's your first one. Second one, Indiana Jones 5 is still happening. We have a release date. It is July 29th, 2022. Harrison Ford is back. They are adding Phoebe Waller-Bridge and Mads Mikkelsen to the cast. John Williams is back to score the film. It will be directed by James Mangold this time. This is the first Indiana Jones film that is not written by George Lucas and directed by Steven Spielberg. But it is happening.
The July release date next year, while possibly achievable, sounds really close to me. So maybe they are further down the pre-production road before they made some of these casting announcements and whatnot than you would otherwise experience.
Yeah, I feel like they've been burying the lead for that for a while. Like they keep bringing it up like, hey, we're doing it. So yeah, I think pre-production is a lot further along than we think.
Yeah. I'm intrigued. I will say that I did not think I ever would be for an Indiana 5, but
it's got to go up from where they were, right? Let's hope.
Exactly.
And I know Josh is excited for this one. New trailer for Fast 9 is out, set to release on June 25th.
I said to Sarah, I saw Michael Rooker posted on his social media today either a trailer or news about it as well, and I didn't know he was going to be in this, so I sent Sarah a text and said, Rooker's in Fast 9, sad face.
I don't think I even knew he was in this, so that's news to me, too.
I didn't know yet either. I just found out now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I have not watched, like, the trailer's out there. I personally have not watched it. I'm in. Whatever fucking crazy movie this is, I am in. I don't care.
I did watch the trailer. I won't spoil anything for you, but it's going to be a fast movie.
Yeah, that's all. That's all I want. That's all I expect.
I was kind of surprised at the absence of The Rock, though.
Well, they got their own spin-off stuff now, and if him and Vin Diesel still don't get along, I can understand they're not going to be in the same movie for a while.
Yeah.
Next one, Sunrise Inc., a Japanese production studio behind at least the animated Mobile Suit Gundam, is co-producing a live-action Gundam movie with Legendary Pictures. The film will be directed by Jordan Vogt Roberts, which is he's directed Kong Skull Island. Movie is set to release on Netflix. We don't have a date yet, but that is coming.
I mean, the director makes me not excited, so.
Yeah, I'm a little unsure. I don't know enough about Gundam to be like, yeah, this is my thing. Like, we sort of talked beforehand. This was going to be one of the main things we were going to talk about. I don't think any of us are really an expert on Gundam, so it very quickly kind of got sidelined.
Yeah, I mean, it's cool. The suit's cool. I've watched very, very, very minimal.
Yeah.
Like maybe 5 episodes in my life, and I'm like, yeah, that's cool, but...
I always feel like I get that and Voltron mixed up. And
Voltron's way cooler than Gundam.
Definitely seen more Voltron than Gundam.
Yeah.
We are getting an animated Batman movie. Batman: The Long Halloween is getting the animated treatment. Jensen Ackles as Batman. Naya Rivera as Selena Kyle. Josh Duhamel as Harvey Dent. Billy Burke as James Gordon. Titus Welliver. Carmine Falcone. Josh's buddy Dave Despalchin as Calendar Man. And Troy Baker as the Joker.
So
I am, you know what? You just made my fucking day. I'm sorry to cut you off, Josh.
No, please.
Desmalchin as Calendar Man, yeah, 100% on that. But Troy Baker doing the Joker.
Has he done the Joker before? I feel like he's done the Joker before, right? Was it maybe a game? Did he do it for a video game? I feel like Arkham...
I thought Hamill was doing them for Arkham.
Except the one that wasn't Rocksteady.
Oh, I never played that one.
I didn't either.
I wouldn't even know.
But I could have sworn that he might have been in it. I don't want to... Now I'm like second guessing myself, but I feel like that's what I remember.
It says he has an acting credit. He was previously Jason Todd in Arkham Knight.
Who was Troy Baker?
Troy Baker, yeah.
Okay. All right.
So he has literally several hundred.
Yeah, he's
Troy Baker
here,
is
so
the best voice actor in the world right now.
Yeah, he's a voice actor for
unbelievable.
A lot of video games, so there's a lot of credits. Yeah.
As somebody who somewhat has aspired to voice acting, I can say he's the one person that I would say, if I could ask questions to and be like, "Holy shit!" Like I might fangirl over Troy Baker. Like I actually might, but he is so ranged and so good. Look up a character called the Maw that he did at some time. It was in a recent game called The Medium. And Brian, you should look this up too.
Okay.
Because what he did with that character, I didn't know he was capable of, and it changed my opinion on him fully. But go ahead, sorry.
Real quick, he did do the Joker in the Batman vs. Ninja Turtles.
Oh,
cartoon.
maybe okay. Maybe
he was both. Says he was both Batman and the Joker in that.
That makes sense.
That was a good movie.
I think
too.
he could just talk, and I've not seen that.
It's good.
But he could just talk and be Bruce Wayne and Batman.
Yeah,
no problem. He wouldn't have to alter his natural voice.
All right, next one. We talked about this for, going back to the last time we talked about geek news stuff with all the Disney announcements. Star Wars, the Clone Wars spinoff show, The Bad Batch, will premiere on May the 4th, with all episodes dropping on Friday every week, just like Disney has been doing with all of their other shows. Trailer is out there. It's out on our page. Feel free to check it out. Looking forward to that one.
May the 4th.
They say how many episodes?
Tuesday.
I don't know if I remember hearing a number for an episode. If they have one out there, I didn't look for it, so I'm not sure.
That was the only question I had. I mean, of course I'm going to watch it, but I always wonder, like, how much content are we actually getting?
Yeah, it's a good question because Mandalorian was what, like 8-9 episodes a season. The Marvel shows are pretty short. What was the last season of the Clone Wars? That was
12.
Okay. So I would expect somewhere in the low teens at least.
IMDb has 14 pegged right now.
Okay. Yeah, that would
Cool.
be a good guess, I think. I think that's a solid number.
Yeah, especially following a bunch of characters that we haven't spent as much time with yet.
Yeah.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah, I'm excited for that one. More Star Wars news. Production is about to kick off on the Obi-Wan Kenobi series, which brings back Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christensen. We also have some other confirmed cast members, either returning and new additions. Joel Edgerton and Bonnie, I don't know how to say her last name, PSA, are back as Owen and Beru Lars. Other additions to the cast, Moses Ingram, Kumail Nanjiani, Indira Varma, Rupert Friend, O'Shea Jackson Jr., Sung Kang, who is Han from the Fast and Furious movies, Simone Kessel, and Benny Safdie. So I don't know what any of these people are playing, but they are listed on the cast sheet as being, that was the production, press release. They said all these people are going to be involved in the series. So I don't know what they're playing. I didn't want to look it up either way, so I didn't go to IMDb to see if characters were listed. That's fine. I'm going to find out, but the cast list
Kumail and O'Shea Jackson really intrigued me.
Yeah, I want to see. Kumail was like, what the hell? Kumail's in this. I'm there.
Well, I mean, they have humorous characters in the Mando, too, so I assume that's his kind of lane. I'm assuming he'll be in there, and then I assume O'Shea Jackson will be villain of some sort.
Yeah, it doesn't.
I mean, that's his
like I said,
lane.
it doesn't list to what side people are on or anything like that. So it'll be fun to discover.
I wonder if Kumail will go the route of like Alan Tudyk in Rogue One and do maybe like motion capture and voice for like a humorous droid or something.
Yeah. I'd be down with that. I'm for it.
Yeah.
We also got the first trailer for James Gunn's The Suicide Squad, which, again, this was a month ago or so now. But the trailer looks awesome. I know Josh hasn't watched it, so that's all I'm going to say.
Nope.
It looks great. Gunn premiered the Red Band trailer, which is what I've seen. I know there's a Green Band trailer floating around there with different footage. I have not watched that one. Which, we were sort of talking beforehand about making our way back to the theater, and I know I had mentioned on the show I went to Godzilla vs. Kong in the theater. One thing that I forgot to do is to try to avoid all the fucking trailers that are at the beginning of the movie. So now I'm at the point where I got to remember to bring all my headphones back in the theater whenever I get to that point to try to avoid all of these trailers that I've been skipping. It's oddly been easier to ignore just being home and avoiding the internet than going to the theater and trying to just not watch them.
That's not odd. You're in a theater with a gigantic
True,
screen and all these huge speakers blaring it into your ears. That's a little bit hard to ignore.
Yeah, right. But I think, I was in the mindset back then of like, okay, I'm bringing my phone, I'm bringing headphones, I'm putting them in, and I'm just going to shut my eyes and play music when trailers start. I'm more worried about accidentally, randomly finding something on the internet. And so far, I've been pretty good that way. So that's the part that gets difficult for me. So yeah, if you haven't seen the trailer, if you want to watch it, it's out there. It looks really cool. I'm excited for that one. Also coming to HBO Max whenever it hits the release date, whenever that is. I can't remember. I should look that up, but I did not.
Oh, I would say August, early August.
That was
Yeah,
my
that
best
sounds right.
guess, but I didn't know what the date was for August.
I want to say the 6th off the top of my head.
Okay. Yeah, if you're looking it up, you can let me know after the next one. Sony is turning another one of its video game properties into a movie, Ghost of Tsushima, which is a very well-reviewed, good-selling game for the PlayStation platform, is being turned into a movie. They have hired John Wick director Chad Stahelski to direct that movie.
My only thought on that is, Sony, you suck for not making Bloodborne first. That's I'm happy to see it made into a game, but if they're going to be making movies out of their games, where the fuck's the Bloodborne?
Yeah, I think Sony I think there's like a PlayStation Pictures or PlayStation. It's like there's some sort of Sony owned like production studio now that is basically in charge, I think, of transitioning video games into movies. I think it started with like Uncharted. They're doing that now. It goes to Tsushima. I think it's the same probably production studio that's doing Last of Us for HBO and that kind of thing. So I would have, I know Bloodborne is popular, so I would not be surprised if somewhere down the line that gets turned into something, TV show or movie, something.
The only thing I could see there is just From Software making that an issue where they don't want it made. And they may have signed, because From Software is a lot bigger than most of their other studios.
Mm-hmm.
Because like Naughty Dog grew as a Sony studio.
True, yeah.
And like most all of them are much more tied to Sony than From Software is. So
right.
That's the one where it's a question, but it's still like you need to just make it happen.
Yeah.
I want to see that movie.
Josh, do you have a release date? Did you look?
It is August 6th.
Okay. Good call. Good pull.
Yeah.
Good pull. What else we got? Black Widow has moved one more time and will arrive in theaters and Disney Plus Premier Access on July 9th. So it moved from its yearly May release date and pushed out a couple more months to July. In the wake of that move, Ryan Reynolds' Free Guy, which I've had my eye on this movie for a while. I really know when the hell this is going to come out. Also moved and will now release August 13th. Oh, so I guess we got, Suicide Squad and then Free Guy right after it, one after the other. I guess they're a week apart.
Is that one ending up on any streaming services as of this time?
As of right now, I have not heard. I don't think.
I don't think so, at least not like day and date with theaters.
Because that's a Fox property. And so I don't
now
think,
it's a Disney property.
Well, right, but I mean, like, Disney doesn't seem to be taking Fox's movies and putting them on Disney Plus. It's just strictly Disney-owned Marvels or, that kind of stuff. So I would assume just theaters for now. We'll see if that changes.
All right.
I know Falcon and the Winter Soldier is closing up. Final episode is tomorrow. After that, we have the Loki series to look forward to, which we have a premiere date for that. So that is June 11th. There is, I think, a new trailer for that, which is when they announced the release date. I also have not seen that trailer. Again, we're close enough. I'm just going to wait and experience that.
So it's a little over a month off.
Yeah.
With nothing.
True.
But we'll have the Bad Batch in between.
Yes. There will be content, maybe just not Marvel content.
Right.
What else dropped? Warner Brothers dropped the first trailer for Space Jam: A New Legacy, which looks... I did watch that one because I was like, what the hell? I want to see what this is. It looks crazy as hell, and I am here for it. I can't wait.
I did not watch this, not on purpose. I don't know if I care enough. I don't think I'd hate it. I just don't know if I care enough.
There's some slight, like, Ready Player One vibes in there.
Okay.
And just because of that... Well, not just because of that. Like, I was in before that, but now I'm like, what the hell is this movie? But I'm there.
Is it, like, starring LeBron, I assume?
Yeah, LeBron's in it. Yes.
And it's, like, Bron's picture, like, his movie studio making it?
I didn't even know he has a movie studio.
Yeah, Bron. B-R-O-N.
Oh, see, I didn't know that.
Like, he's made a lot of stuff recently.
I'll see that. Yeah, see, this is all news to me. I had no idea.
Looks like...
most notably, Child's Play.
He
the
did
new
that
Child's
reboot.
Play was him.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
This IMDb is saying Warner Brothers, Warner Animation Group, Spring Hill Entertainment, and Proximity. So I think it's just Warner Brothers kickstarting that from 25, 26 years later.
Right. It's about time to bring it back. It's sat on the shelf long enough. We have an IP we can use. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Last month, on March 13th, Matt Reeves posted on social media that The Batman has wrapped production.
Oh, okay. Missed that. Because they had production delays, like last summer or last fall with COVID exposures.
I think a couple times they shut down.
So I was misled. I don't know who it was that told me that Braun was LeBron.
Yeah.
It's not.
Sounds like LeBron has a lawsuit on his hands then.
Yeah, I honestly I thought it was him, but yeah, they have a really they're actually doing Ghostbusters Afterlife. They did Joker, they did all kinds of like high profile movies, but yeah, that's not LeBron.
No connection.
Somebody told me at some point like, "Oh yeah, that's LeBron." And I was like, I just bought it. I was like, that makes sense.
Right now they're listening to this episode and your realization and they're going, "Got him." Yeah,
or they're just as fucking stunned as I am. I don't know, but whoever told me that, fuck you.
Brian, real quick, since I'm just looking at some quick images from Space Jam very quickly, and since it looks like it is now CGI animation as opposed to traditional hand-drawn 2D, how did in the trailer, did it look weird? Did it strike you as like, oh, why didn't they just stick to classic animation, etc.? Did it not matter?
To your first point, both of them are in there. Original
okay.
2D hand drawn is in the trailer, and then it like seems like it morphs into CG looking animation. I think it looked fine. It's still, seeing the Looney Tunes look that way, it still kind of looks weird.
Uh-huh.
But I don't know. I don't know if it would look weirder if they were just doing the 2D animation that they did in the first Space Jam. Again, I don't know.
Yeah. I only think like that's one of the rare remaining, I think, like older animation properties that really never had a 3D animation CGI counterpart.
What was the Looney Tunes Back in Action movie? Wasn't that sort of 3D-ish?
Can't
I
say
thought
that
that
I
was
ever
more
saw
sort
it,
of
but I
CG.
thought
Well, Tom and Jerry, were they part of that same like sphere? Or was that?
I can't remember if they were Looney Tunes or like Warner Brothers, or if that was more like Hanna-Barbera or some other animation studio.
Right.
I honestly don't recall.
But I feel like the new movie did that for them too.
True.
That was more like 2D, right? That for Tom and Jerry. I don't remember
No, I
that
thought
being.
they did the kind of. I didn't watch it.
I started to
but,
watch
like,
it, and then I got bored halfway through and never finished. So, and now it escapes
Now you can't
me
even
what
remember.
the hell they look like. So I don't remember. Maybe no, you don't. I think you're right. I think it was like
It looks a little of both.
yeah,
like,
it was a sort of a
almost
hybrid.
like cell shading.
Right. Yes, that's right. All right, so last one that I'm going to cover just today, and this ties back into our sort of intro a little bit. Marvel dropped the first trailer and release date for Marvel's MODOK, which is an animated series for Hulu with Patton Oswalt as MODOK. It looks hilarious. It drops on May 21st.
It looks so irreverent, but like it honestly strikes you as the sort of thing, like even if you didn't have that appearance of Iron Man in it, for instance, like it looks like the kind of thing that they could have gotten away with of creating a funny cartoon show, like stop animation style computer
It looks like Robot
generated
Chicken
show.
a little bit.
Yeah, with like never having a Marvel connection. Like it looks like it could still be clever and humorous
Yeah,
without introducing any other known properties, known
Yeah.
characters.
I agree.
So, pop quiz hot shots. What does MODOK stand for?
See, they say this in the trailer, so I remember. It's a mental organism designed only for killing.
There you go. I didn't know if they said. I didn't watch the trailer, so that's. I didn't know they said it in there. Otherwise, it wouldn't. It would have been a better question. If they not said it.
Yeah, if I had not just watched it today, I don't know if I would have. The first word always gets me. Organism designed only for killing. I know I have. I always wanted to say machine and not mental.
Yeah, it's mental.
Brian, if you already knew that off the top of your head, I have a feeling you would enjoy the sensibility of what the show appears to be.
Yes. Yeah. The show looks great. I didn't know what to expect. Like I knew Patton Oswalt was voicing MODOK, but I didn't know. I don't remember if I've seen like any type of still from the series before this trailer, just to see what the
Nope.
style looked like. I don't
Yeah.
remember seeing anything, so this whole thing was new to me. And I thought it looked great.
I mentioned in the Facebook comments about this today when you shared it out that obviously Patton Oswalt, I think, either was like nominated or got a lot of acclaim for his voice work in Ratatouille, of course.
Oh, right.
But the character that he plays, the animated character that he plays in the FX show Happy, he does a great job in that too. Aside from that show being almost like a living LSD trip, which is still enjoyable as hell, and it is so fun to watch. It is so effed up. But he does a really good job in that. So his voice work is really strong. Like it's not just, oh, you got a name to be the person to put on the poster. Like he's good at it.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to that. That'll be on Hulu. So that concludes the quick hit headlines that we did. So again, if you're listening to any of these, something that caught your attention, you want us to maybe dive into, talk a little bit more in depth for, let us know. We can always come back to it and check it out later. For now, so kicking off the stuff we are going to try to dive into a little bit more. We got some DC stuff. So for the DC stuff, we're going to talk about a few of their movies that have had some additions to the cast and sort of kind of run with it from there. So they've been busy trying to get their movie slate going. Obviously, they gave us Snyder's Justice League to kind of hold us over. They have a few movies that they are currently working on. Most of them kind of just started production recently. So, starting with The Flash, which is a movie that I really never thought was going to escape development hell,
Right.
is finally in production. So this is directed by Andy Muschietti, who directed It and It Chapter 2. The movie brings back Ezra Miller, reprising his role as Barry Allen. Ben Affleck is again suiting up as Batman. Also suiting up as Batman is Michael Keaton.
Woohoo.
Kiersey Clemons is reprising her role as Iris West from Justice League. Billy Crudup, who played Barry's father, Henry Allen, in Justice League, is not coming into this movie. He will be replaced by Ron Livingston. And the other addition that I know I posted on social media, if you follow our platforms, was Sasha Calle. I think that's how you say her name. She will be Supergirl in this film. Right now, the release date for The Flash is November 4th, 2022. Any thoughts on this cast?
Well, I would add real quick before we do that. So there is also a Nora Allen that was added. It wasn't really as big of an announcement, but Barry's mother. So presumably with the expectation that this is going to be maybe a Flashpoint type of storyline, I'm assuming
Some time travel-y stuff.
Right. So we will at some points be maybe seeing the, murder of her by Reverse Flash and whatnot. But they cast Maribel Verdú for that, a Hispanic actress, Spanish actress. If anyone is familiar with Pan's Labyrinth, or I never remember how to pronounce this correctly, but Waitumama Tumbian, Alfonso Cuarón's kind of like breakout Spanish movie from the early 2000s. She's in that, so I know a lot of people have seen Pan's Labyrinth. She's the main adult female character in that. But overall, I'm liking this a lot. Like if they F this up, then like it was theirs to lose.
I agree. I'm waiting to be confident in what they do with DC properties, and we'll see.
Because I mean that's the big guess, right? We don't know what the hell DC is planning. They're not real clear on where they're going with their stuff. It's all just kind of like taking them one movie at a time, and we don't know how the next one's gonna go.
Yeah. Like Ben Affleck coming back as Batman, to me, like Michael Keaton, seeing him as Batman again, that's going to be awesome, but it's also like, okay, that'll happen and then it's done. Ben Affleck coming back to be Batman again is actually, to me, a good sign for their universe and continuity. Because as far as I had understood, him and Cable had both kind of been like, okay, we're done. Well, like when things started to go south.
So part of this, and this is my theory, I don't know if there's really too much basis for this. I'm kind of like extrapolating and connecting some dots here. But with Ray Fisher's whole deal with WB and all the stuff that happened behind the scenes that he was trying to get legal action against certain people for, originally, this was supposed to be like, from what I understand, Cyborg was supposed to have a very major role in the Flash movie. Like, they were setting them up in Justice League to be buddies, and they were going to sort of follow each other into the Flash movie and go from there. With all the shit... between this movie being stuck in development hell and constantly director changes and rewrites and whatever else was happening behind the scenes, on top of Ray Fisher causing a headache for people at Warner Brothers, you have to wonder, it was just like, okay, we're just going to get this guy out of here. We don't want to deal with him. We don't want to work with him. Who else can we bring back that's already established as part of this universe, so they get Ben Affleck back?
Could be.
Which could it be where it started from? Now they've crafted a story that, has to tie in with other Batmen. And if they lean into that multiverse story, that's something really cool that I'd like to see. So, all things considered, this could be a really fun story. I don't know if it started that way. I mean, we've always heard about Flashpoint as being the basis for this movie.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a storyline that I've loved to see. I would love to see it translated well for a movie. But yeah, I'm sort of like what Mike said, cautiously optimistic, I guess. Like we're all waiting for DC to just shit the bed with the next movie.
I'm worried that I would love to see a live action version of the Flashpoint, because if I remember, I think the Flashpoint series, it was either like a limited series or a one shot. You know, it was like a self-contained story in a short period of time. It wasn't a long stretching comic book arc.
Mhm.
And the only non-print representation of it was the DC animated movie version of it, which was my first introduction to the story, which is just very badass. I would love to see that much going on in a live action. I know they're not going to have a warring Jason Momoa and Gal Gadot
Yeah.
killing the hell out of people and really doing stuff like that. So on the one hand, I was disappointed that the TV show, quote unquote, used the Flashpoint idea in the most like bare minimum way. And
Yeah.
they kind of used it in name only, which was fine. Like if you never knew anything about it before, it worked. But when you see what that name typically refers to, you're like, oh, this falls very short. I worry, therefore, that they might do the same again. That they're like, okay, Flashpoint is a time traveling story device that we use to put Barry Allen in different settings and create a quote unquote multiverse effect.
Yeah.
But there's specific aspects to that named storyline that I really enjoy. That I know they're not calling this Flashpoint, but if they seem to harness that idea, and I don't get a lot of what I associate with the Flashpoint storyline, I might be a little bummed.
Yeah. No, I agree. Yeah.
I felt the same kind of disappointment, and I think a lot of people did with Age of Ultron, where they used the title Age of Ultron, and it was really just, we're going to introduce Ultron as a villain, and we're going to call it Age of Ultron. Whereas the Age of Ultron storyline is much more complex and much different than what we got, of course.
Yeah.
And that was, so the same kind of thing. Just straight using a title because it's a recognizable comic book title, I really hope they don't go that route. Because it's a terrible thing to do. You know what I mean? And Marvel corrected course a good bit with Civil War in that instance, where Marvel Civil War was, a big thing for them, and they kind of went down the right path with that movie and how they handled it. It was still different, but they stuck close enough that it felt correct. With Flashpoint, I mean, I feel the same way you do. They need to stay close, unless they want to upset people, because it's a very beloved story. It's a very, people that don't even read The Flash got into Flashpoint.
You only get to use it. You only get to use it once.
Right. You
Yeah.
can't redo this. You can't be like, oh, yeah, we got a mulligan on that one.
Yeah.
50 years from now, maybe, yeah, they'll use it again if they fuck this up, but I'm not going to be around for that, so... Or even if I am, I'll be old and fucking, not be doing anything. I don't know. But it's just like, just don't fuck it up. If you're going to do it, don't fuck it up.
What I would love in like my headcanon of this, there is secretly a Martha Wayne cast that they're not talking about, and the Michael Keaton that we're assuming is Bruce Wayne is actually playing Thomas Wayne.
Oh, yeah.
And that you do get that version of that skewed universe where Thomas Wayne became Batman and his mother became the Joker. That one aspect, if you give me just that part of the storyline, even for like a smaller subplot, I don't need the warring Atlanteans and Amazonians and all the other world turned upside down and everything. That one part of the story, I love the hell out of that.
I feel like they can pull that right back in really easily just by bringing it in and making it Michelle Pfeiffer.
Oh, that'd be so good.
She would be good as,
like
as Martha Wayne.
You already
Joker.
have that sort of like unhinged, disheveled, I'm torn apart image of her from the cat attack in Batman Returns, and just slap her in a weird suit with some really effed up, like that's the point, like make her look as like the lipstick is all smeared to hell all over the place and whatnot. Oh, that's great. Yeah. I'm in. I want your movie.
It's there. It's a thing. I mean, maybe they'll go that route. Maybe they won't. It would make sense. It would make sense to pick her for that. That's all I'm saying. Like,
I don't disagree.
And I think, like, to Mike's earlier point, like, I'm curious if this, in any way, keeps some sort of momentum going for, like, everyone's trying to restore the Snyderverse now. Well, you're keeping the Snyderverse characters or like actors going, not the characters, but the people that portrayed those characters in Snyder's versions of these characters. They're still in the movies. They're still making things. So DC's trying to play fast and loose with, like, well, it may or may not be connected. We don't really know. We're kind of ignoring that fact. But, if they're still there, just keep it connected. Like, I don't understand why you wouldn't.
I mean, personally, I've come around a lot on, like, Zack Snyder and his work, because I have found out, since he is essentially not as much a part of this process as he was before.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, before he was really a part of it, and now he's not, and things are getting even worse. It seems like DC just seems like there's this scatterbrained idea of what they might do, but they're not sure. But maybe, I don't know, it could happen, and that's what they're basing their, like, storyline in these movies off of.
Plus, I also think I feel like they switched leadership at, like, WB and DC like 3 or 4 different times now. So there's no hierarchy. There's no structure.
Right, and there's no structure to the films. There's no plan. At least with Snyder and the Snyderverse, there was a plan.
Yeah.
And now there's no plan. Even if the plan was not ideal or what I would like most for the characters, it was a plan, and the story was actually coming together through that Snyder cut, and you're getting this cohesive idea. That's going away.
Keep it on brand goes right back to Heath Ledger's speech in the hospital to Harvey Dent. Everybody freaks out if things go sour, if it's not part of the plan. Even if it's bad,
right?
They can cope with it better because it's part of the plan.
Introduce a little chaos.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, if they're gonna, I'm perfectly fine with the idea of, like, iterative movies where this is our Flash movie, this is our Joker movie, this is our Batman movie. They're not connected, but that's what they are. I'm fine with that if that's what it is. But if that's going to be what it is, but they're also going to have the same actors and characters turning up in other movies, but they're not really going to connect things, what the fuck are they doing? Why?
Yeah, it's like, if you didn't want them to connect, that's your green light to recast, reboot, try something else. If it didn't work the first time, do it again differently.
But let's not forget, we also have The Batman. What is that, next year sometime? Like early next year?
I think that's been pushed to 2022 sometime. I know we talked about it, but I also didn't look up a release date for that one also.
Well, I mean, it'll probably get moved again before it actually releases, for all we know. It's so far away. But we also have that coming out with a different Batman cast in it.
Right.
And so they have all these different directions they're heading off in. What are you supposed, like, as a viewer, especially now that a lot of, like, comic book movie viewers are conditioned by Marvel for what they do and for a connected, cohesive story.
Right.
Something that's not is going to feel bad just naturally.
Yeah.
If they're making it look connected, but they're not actually connecting the stories.
Right. Yeah, and one of the things I thought I read, and now I'm trying to remember who the hell said it. I think it was, like, one of the newer leaderships for Warner Brothers, or I don't know if it was Warner Brothers or DC, or maybe this person oversees DC as being part of Warner Brothers. I don't know. Either way, but they were being interviewed around, like, the Snyder Cut when it came out, and basically the interviewer was trying to get from them, hey, is this going to see a resurgence in the Snyderverse stuff? And what they kept saying was, more or less, we have a plan. We are working on movies, and they were talking about stressing that they could interconnect stories between movies and television and have things bleed in and out of each other. And they were really trying to lean into the multiverse side of things. But at the same time, they're saying, well, we're done with the Snyderverse. It's like, well, that doesn't make sense, because if you are doing the multiverse thing, that lends itself to, yes, we can still use the Snyderverse, because the multiverse thing is, that's it. Anything can work with multiverse. You don't have to connect anything. It's all part of the same thing, one way or the other. So it just seemed like contradictory for what their plan is.
Well, yeah, and if they're going to say, like, this is what I don't want to have happen, is where oh, this didn't make sense. Multiverse.
Oh yeah, retcon it all with just it's multiverse stuff.
Yeah, the multiverse made it happen. Okay.
Go the X-Men route.
Oh god.
Like, as much as I like Days of Future Past, the rest of that was just so bad.
I love First Class, and First Class is such a shithole of continuity errors that it makes me so mad.
You know what? I will agree. I love First Class, but for the reason you're stating, it drives me nuts. Whereas Days of Future Past, it's a movie about time travel, and you just kind of let go of that other bullshit.
Yeah.
Because it's like, he's traveling through time. We can let go of the dumb shit.
And the old cast talks to the new cast like, that's fucking cool. Who cares?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Xavier talks to himself.
Yeah.
That is a badass scene. I love that.
It is.
Yeah.
And, like, that was okay, but the rest of the shit they did, it's just bad.
So I guess
Sorry,
we're sort of at the point where it's just like, let's wait and see, I guess, is where we're kind of at with all these things.
Yeah, I feel like that's basically what we're saying is hope it's not horrible.
And like I said, I hope they swing for the fences. I hope I'm very surprised in a positive way. If I had to sum up it in like one sentence, if you're going to utilize aspects of the Flashpoint idea, don't F it up, because you're not going to get another chance, maybe ever.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a good place to end on that one. So we're going to move to the next DC movie, another long gestating one, Black Adam. So The Rock posted on April 11th that marked day one of production on the movie. The movie is directed by, I guess that's Jamie Collette Sarah. Movie stars Dwayne Johnson as Black Adam, Aldous Hodge as Hawkman, Noah Centineo as Atom Smasher, Quintessa Swindell as Cyclone, and Pierce fucking Brosnan as Dr. Fate.
I actually love that casting.
Yep.
So I'm okay with that. The others I'm not really familiar with, of course. Like, I don't really recognize the actors and actresses.
Yeah, I don't. The names aren't doing it for me either. Like even looking at their pictures, I think Hawkman looked familiar, but I can't remember what else he's been in.
Aldous Hodge, yeah, he's the one that sounded really familiar to me. Okay, so the reason that he stands out to me quickly is we just watched a movie called One Night in Miami in the last couple of months. It was Regina King, I believe, her directorial debut.
That was with the Muhammad Ali movie or whatever, right?
Yeah, it was a somewhat fictionalized version of an actual event in which Malcolm X, Cassius Clay, Jim Brown, and Sam Cooke like spent an evening together in Miami in the 60s, and he played Jim Brown in that. He's a very good actor. Putting him in like a comic book costume, flying hopefully, and doing like some real action shit, like that's a nice fit.
I hope he's flying.
Yeah, that's a good fit. I could see that.
The place I'm recognizing him from, I just looked him up because I felt the same way, like I saw him, but there's a couple that like come off the like, oh yeah, he was in that, and that's The Invisible Man from last year.
Yes, that's right.
He was in an episode of Black Mirror. Hidden Figures. He was in the second Jack Reacher movie, and he played a character on The Walking Dead for one episode.
Oh, he didn't make it, did he?
Probably not. Unfortunately, he was also in A Good Day to Die Hard.
I wonder if I just know him from like random, like I've seen Good Day to Die Hard. I've seen apparently he was in Jack Reacher Never Go Back. I've seen that. I've seen Hidden Figures. Like maybe I'm just like peripherally remembering him in things that I've seen, and that's why it seems familiar.
That's what I mean.
Point,
like he hasn't been
he's
like
getting there.
Yeah, like he needs this kind of leading role kind of thing to get him off the ground.
Yeah.
You know.
So I mean, we're sort of already talking about, but anything else in the cast stick out to you guys? Like I love seeing Pierce Brosnan do something, especially getting him into a comic book role. Like I'm excited for that.
I mean, as Dr. Fate, I'll be interested to see, because he's older now.
Yes.
Pierce Brosnan is older, and Dr. Fate is played that way. if I'm not mistaken, Dr. Fate is an older man, but he's also like, doesn't Dr. Fate wear like a centurion armor kind of thing?
Yeah. I just remember him from
Yeah,
like
like
Injustice. That's my Dr. Fate exposure.
Well, isn't that where Dr. Fate came from?
I don't know.
I thought he was introduced in the Injustice story.
Yeah, that would be news to me. I don't know. I'm just thinking like the video games. I
I'd have to
remember
look
him
it
in the
up.
video game. That's my exposure to Dr. Fate.
I'm gonna actually look that up because I'm not sure. Like, I feel like, he might have been like a Injustice origin, like in the Injustice comic, but I could be completely wrong.
Well, Mike, what do you know, if anything, about the character itself? Because I know I don't, but I have an idea of how a Pierce Brosnan in a movie like this might go, but I also want to see if I'm like way off base.
Well, first, since I looked it up, I will say I'm way off. He was introduced in 1940.
Alright.
In something called More Fun Comics. But there's several different versions, evidently, of Dr. Fate. And yeah, he's kind of, I'm trying to think of a good way to put it. Like, I always kind of looked at him like an Olympian god, almost.
Okay.
He's got, like, if I recall correctly, he's got some, like, Zeus-like powers. He's got some definite, like, lightning action going on, right, Brian? Like, it's been a long time since I played Injustice.
I don't remember.
That would be my most recent, like, interaction with him, obviously.
Like, I remember him in the armor, and I remember him throwing, like, symbols or something at people, and I don't know if he has to do with time. I might be making that up. I don't know.
Yeah, he's extremely, extremely powerful. I know that part of it. Like, he is top end of the power spectrum.
Yeah.
Because doesn't he, like, isn't one of the Injustice stories like him nearly defeating Superman? Like, isn't he like one of the people that's like capable of that?
See, I don't remember. It's been a while since I played like the story of the game, so I don't remember how the story, like who's on what side for the story.
Nonetheless, he is extremely powerful. He has, I guess, mystic type powers. I would be a good way to put it.
Yeah, that might be a good way to put it, yeah.
Pierce Brosnan is an interesting choice for it, I guess is the best way I could put it, because Pierce Brosnan is himself. He is who he is. And seeing him take on that role, I don't know how he's going to, because, like, I guess the other aspect of this is, like, Dr. Fate is jacked. Like, he's, I mean, he's a DC superhero. Like, he's not a lab coat kind of guy. He's not a lab coat doctor, I guess is the way to put it. You know what? I'm trying to think. He actually kind of looks in his costume to a character you might know, like Nova. A little bit. Like, you know who Nova is, right?
Sort of.
In Marvel. Nova? No? Okay.
Wasn't Nova in the X-Men animated series? Or am I thinking of the Gladiator?
Gladiator was Shi'ar.
Shi'ar, right.
Nova is Kree.
Probably thinking of somebody else.
Or not Kree. Nova is...
Xandarian?
Nova. Yeah. Like, he's Nova Corps.
Yeah, Nova Corps.
Yeah, they allude to the Nova in the movies, but we never see Nova, the character.
Yeah, we never see the actual Nova. But yeah, it's the same kind of, like, helmet and outfit. I think the difference is a cloak. But I would say expect big things out of this movie, given the power levels. You're talking Black Adam. Presumably, this is the introduction, I guess, of Black Adam, is what I had heard.
I mean, we haven't seen him in anything else, so
here.
yeah, this has to be like an origin movie, or maybe not an origin movie, but at least introduction movie to him.
Well, I mean, like, it's an introduction movie to him that we're eventually going to get Shazam and Black Adam in a later movie.
Yeah, I assumed
each other
Black Adam would spin off from a Shazam movie, and then we got Shazam, and Black Adam was nowhere to be seen.
Right.
And Black Adam was, I think, cast well before, like, The Rock has been Black Adam for years.
Yeah. Well, he also expressed his interest that was a character he wanted to play for a long time.
Right.
And so they were like, you want to do... Yeah. Okay. It's that easy to get The Rock to play Black Adam? Done.
Yeah. So, and The Rock's busy. So I don't know if it was just like his schedule couldn't get it there, or they're trying to work the character the way it wanted, or, DC has no plan and it's just like, when can we make this work? And as we spitball all the shit together.
Little from column A, little from column B.
So the Black Adam right now is slated to come out about an entire year before Shazam 2.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
I guess it is possible that maybe certain events of Shazam 2 might, spin back to Black Adam, or if that is their goal in the end, to set up, Shazam 3, Black Adam 2 as sort of that crossover and meeting, because sort of to meld these two together for a moment, did you guys see something going around the internet within the last couple of weeks that people were debating an image from the first Shazam movie that some people were saying, yes, this scene absolutely occurs in the movie, and even the director weighed in and said, no, it didn't. We either never shot that or it got cut. Like, it's not in the movie. It's nowhere. It's not in deleted scenes. And it's just a scene of the 5 or 6 of them as adults and powered up, sitting on the thrones, and there's one empty. Because that's Adam's.
Yeah, okay.
This was going around, and even the director weighed in, like, this is not real. or at the very least, it was never included in any released part
Content.
of the film or
Right.
whatever. So, like, if those ideas are inextricably linked, like if Adam is part of the Shazam mythos and whatnot, yeah, I gotta believe at some point, like, you don't make both of those without bringing them together for some reason at some point.
Well, this is the other thing.
Well,
Is
I mean-
like, we just talked about it. Like, we can assume that DC is putting these movies in the same universe. We don't fucking know because they won't tell us. We don't. There's no idea.
Well, I mean, like, for me personally, as far as my remembrance goes, I mean, Black Adam is Shazam's like main villain.
Yes.
It's like his Joker.
It should
you
work
know?
that way. What I'm saying is, who the fuck knows
So-
what DC's doing? We don't know. They might have their own plan for these characters. I have no idea. I would love to see Zachary Levi's Shazam face off against The Rock's Black Adam. I don't think. Granted, when they cast The Rock way back when, and you're waiting to see who they cast as Shazam, when they immediately cast Zachary Levi, you're like, what? That guy against The Rock? Come on, seriously?
Oh yeah, no, he definitely got himself. He's still not at the Rock's level.
Oh no.
But he is definitely a lot bigger than you would have expected him to get.
Yes, but I also
Or
just
well,
love
he was
both
when
of
they
those
made
people.
Shazam. I don't know where he's at today.
And I also just
But-
kind of love both of those people, so I just want to see them in a movie together. Put them together in something. I want it, please. And thank
I
you.
think that watching the two of them fight and banter will be great.
Yes, I agree.
Well, the interesting part going into this movie for Black Adam is going to be if Black Adam, for the most part, if not entirely, and Mike, correct me if I'm wrong if you know this, I always understood Black Adam to almost be like a morning star. He's a fallen angel, if you will. That's why he's now a villain. Him or his power set, etc., like, used to be part of the Shazam council, if you will, and now he like strayed away from that. But point being, he's typically on the antagonistic villain side. So, are we going into Black Adam with Rock? Like, are they going to sell us a movie where The Rock is the bad guy that you actually are supposed to hate? Not that he's our anti-hero or hero. Like, I don't know how to go into this.
I think, from what I understand, that I feel like Black Adam. I don't know if he starts villain or maybe like starts hero, goes villain, and comes back. But somewhere on the tail end of that, he comes back to being a sort of anti-hero kind of guy, not straight up bad guy villain.
Mm-hmm.
He's kind of toes that line.
Because I don't know, there's only been maybe one role, and I forget what it was like earlier in his career, where The Rock took a role in which he like was the person you weren't supposed to like. Like, I feel like his
Did that in Doom.
his right, like that, and like one other, and like you don't his persona, both publicly and professionally, is The Rock is the star, but The Rock prevails. Like, he's not the one to be defeated. He's not the one that you're rooting against, even if he does prevail. So, like I said, I'm not sure how to feel about what we're maybe walking into.
So I think what they're setting up, especially with Shazam and what we've already got, if these movies are connected, which makes sense, of course, we're going to assume they're connected without officially being told they are.
I'll allow it.
And the Rock being chosen also makes sense along the same lines as Zachary Levi being chosen, in that these movies are having a lighter tone. So in that lighter tone, do I think The Rock can pull off a villain? Do I think The Rock can pull off that role? I would just direct you to the late 90s of the WWF, my friend.
Sure.
And he turned heel more times than anybody. And he pulled it off. And the crowd would boo him. It was enthusiastic booing in appreciation for his abilities. But he would get whole crowds and whole arenas to boo him.
Okay.
He can do it.
Yeah, I guess.
Will he in this role? I don't know.
Yeah.
Is he supposed to be? Or which, again, like kind of what Brian said with the anti-hero, it does come around to that eventually. Like, even the Punisher started as a villain in comics.
True. And maybe what you said at the beginning of that, trying contextualizing it in the way that they're approaching the tone of the Shazam films. Yeah, he might be the bad guy, but in the portrayal, how bad is he really? Like, Mark Strong in the first one was, yeah, a bad guy, but nowhere near as like he did some like really weird, bad, evil things, but it was still done with a, like, we get it, this is make-believe sheen to it. Yeah, you like never bought in like, oh, this is like a literal, like, disturbing, sick, evil dude.
Right.
So that could work.
And yeah, that's kind of what I mean. Like, I think Mark Strong, on a much lower scale, has a really tough time pulling off that villain thing too. I don't know. I see the guy and I'm just like, yeah, he's awesome. It's his voice too. Guy has one of like those unique and, I don't know, just charismatic voices to him. It just works.
Anything else we want to chime in for Black Adam? Because we keep segueing sort of into Shazam. Shazam's the other movie I was going to cover. So if we want to just go to Shazam,
sure,
we'll just start talking about Shazam.
Go for it. Yeah, I think we're good. Yeah.
And to Josh's point, he mentioned earlier, the movie for Black Adam comes out July 29th, 2022. Release date for Shazam 2, Fury of the Gods, or if it's just Shazam, Fury of the Gods, is June 2nd, 2023.
Okay.
One last note that I will throw in for Black Adam real quick. Sorry. We were talking about Pierce Brosnan, and I meant to bring this up. Pierce Brosnan is almost 70 years old. So
yeah,
wow.
In my head, Mike, the reason I asked you for the background is, since I heard about the casting, I immediately thought that his role would be somewhat more of a Anthony Hopkins in Thor as Odin kind of role. Like, he's connected, he's the older statesman, he's powerful, etc. But how much is he really getting physically involved, hands dirty, etc.? I kind of saw him in more of that capacity. I could end up being completely wrong. That's just what came to mind first.
Yeah, and I mean, the other aspect to it is like, once Dr. Fate is armored up, they could easily just put somebody else in the costume. Like, he wears a helmet that covers most of his face.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
kind of
they could get away with it.
Not as bad because he's not as old, but sort of like David Thewlis as Ares.
Yeah,
like you don't necessarily need to be. Yes. You don't necessarily need to have the most intimidating person to start with, because once you put him in a costume and CGI a bit, it becomes whatever you want it to be.
Right. Yeah, I could see that working in this case. If they even go that route.
Right.
For all we know, Dr. Fate is going to be dropped in name, but we're not going to actually see Dr. Fate. Like, it'll be like, oh, yeah, that's this guy, Dr. Fate, they call him. And that'll be, he'll play a significant role in the origin of Black Adam or something, but he won't play a factor in actually revealing himself as a supervillain kind of thing.
Which is another thing. It's like, if they're casting all these other side characters and heroes and stuff, like, where else are they going to show up if not in another Black Adam movie? Like, are they going to filter into other DC movies, or is it just they're saving them all for Black Adam 2?
Right.
So again, we'll have to see where DC stuff wants to connect and where they don't, because who the fuck knows. So for Shazam 2, it's the last DC movie we're going to talk about. So it's Shazam: Fury of the Gods. Movie is still in pre-production. It's building its cast out. David S. Sandberg is back to direct. Zachary Levi is back as Shazam. They announced 2 additional casting choices for this movie. We're getting Lucy Liu as Calypso and Helen Mirren as Hespera. Both are said to be villains and sisters. And actually, if you go all the way back to the DC Fandom event, I'm still unsure if this is legit or a joke or not, but Sinbad may or may not be part of the cast. I am unsure.
Oh, I hope.
When they were doing the event, they had like their live streaming thing. Zachary Levi was hosting, and they had the cast there. Sinbad pops into the broadcast and is like saying he the internet thought he was in Shazam, like this movie, because he was in a Shazam movie with he was a genie. It was also being mixed up with Shaq's Kazam movie, so it's it was the whole internet meme thing. And Sinbad seemed to be willing himself into this movie, and they did not deny him. Like, they weren't saying, no, you're not a part of this movie. They said, oh, yeah, going along with the joke, it seemed like. But I don't know if they're serious, so who the fuck knows? Sinbad might show up. We'll see.
I hope they make Sinbad what Marvel could, not that I think they will, but what Marvel could make Deadpool. And that Sinbad, playing basically himself, is like kind of like a Stan Lee-ish cameo in every DC movie.
I'm Shazam, bitch, and then he just goes away or something.
Something, yes. Give me it.
And again, so this movie is set to release June 2nd, 2023. Not a lot of casting announcements to go to, but the 2 additions, Lucy Liu and Helen Mirren, what do you guys think?
I know nothing about the characters. Them playing sisters seems a little bit disparate in age, but okay, sure.
I mean, I'm guessing they are...
If they're supposed to be gods.
Some sort of god character.
Yeah. Okay, so if they're supposed to be gods, then yeah, that doesn't really matter. Yeah, I mean, I have no problem with either one of them. They're both talented. They're both good actresses. Like,
I mean,
when does Helen Mirren not kill it in any role that she does?
And that's the thing. I think seeing Helen Mirren's name attached to this suddenly gives it that much more weight. Like, oh shit, I should pay attention to this movie now. Not that I wasn't before, but like now I'm like invested.
In fairness, Helen Mirren's taken on a lot of shit that she doesn't belong in.
Fair.
Fast and the Furious.
Josh didn't get there yet. Spoiler.
Oh, I'm sorry.
He doesn't care. We can tell him everything about this movie.
At all. Yeah, literally tell me.
I feel like she turns up a lot more though than you would think somebody with her like acting ability would.
Yeah.
Like, she takes on a lot of smaller movies and roles that somebody of her stature in the, like an A-lister like her wouldn't normally take.
Right.
I feel like she does that a lot. And you're like, oh, Helen Mirren's in this. And when it first started happening, it was like, oh, this movie's serious. Helen Mirren's in it. Now it doesn't hold as much weight for me, like that she's there anymore. Like, it's cool, and I like Helen Mirren, but it doesn't draw my attention the way it used to.
Fair. Josh, what do you think?
I think they announced Helen Mirren first.
Yes.
And then maybe like 2 or 3 weeks later also gave us Lucy Liu, and that was more recently.
Yeah.
Honestly, with either one of them, I barely care what they're playing. I will just love every moment that they're in it.
Yeah.
I think that's a good play. Yeah, I agree. So, yeah, I think, again, we talk about, like, we don't know what the hell DC's doing. These movies may or may not be connected. We don't know. But on paper, all 3 of these sound fucking amazing. So,
yeah,
let's fucking go, DC. Dude, give us some good shit, and I'm excited for you.
Don't fuck it up.
Yeah. That should be the tagline for every DC movie.
We didn't fuck up.
Yeah, don't give us the 5-star review. Just say we didn't fuck up.
It's good this time, I swear.
Aww.
All right, so let's move on to some Marvel casting. So on the Marvel side of things, Variety is reporting that Emilia Clarke has joined the Secret Invasion series for Disney+. So there's no word on what role she is playing. She joins already cast Sam Jackson, Ben Mendelsohn, Kingsley Ben-Adir, and Olivia Colman are all already cast for that series. No directors listed yet. The only thing I had seen was that Kyle Bradstreet is set to write and produce the series. The only notable thing that I saw his IMDb was he also wrote and produced for the Mr. Robot series for USA. So the Rami Malek TV show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did not even know that Olivia Colman was confirmed for this previously. That's pretty big.
Yeah, that was in Variety's release. They listed her with everybody else, so I
Nice.
missed that too. And again, I think we might have talked about sort of the broad strokes of Secret Invasion when we covered the Disney press release back then. But if you're not familiar with Secret Invasion, it's a storyline in the comics that centered around the Skrulls infiltrating Earth, impersonating peoples of power and heroes. And then it comes to light that someone dies, they turn into a Skrull, and suddenly it's like, oh shit, who is the Skrull? And then it becomes like, who is bad, who's being impersonated, and what happened to the people that are missing. So I'm curious to see how much of that they dive into for this story. How much? I mean, with it being a series, I think it obviously gives them more time to do that. But I am definitely looking forward to this. But thoughts on the cast and the show? What do you guys think?
First and foremost, I'll say about the show, like if you want to think of it in certain terms, when it was written, they were trying to make almost not a parody, but a statement on the Red Scare.
Okay.
I mean, like everybody, are they a commie? Are they not a commie? Kind of thing that happened at one time, and they were using it to make that statement at the time. It's a really good read. Go back, check it out. It's awesome. As far as the casting goes, obviously Emilia Clarke is the big thing here because she's a star. She's obviously going to play a lead role of some sort. I don't feel like you sign her on to be a side character.
True.
Fair.
She is signed on to be a star. And in that vein, I think there's two options. One seems way more likely than any of the others, both because of the Secret Invasion story and Jessica Drew and her obvious connection. If you've read the story, she plays a big role in it. Spider-Woman. That's Jessica Drew, Spider-Woman. She's very possibly that's this cast. To me, the only other option is the Invisible Woman. That she's cast as Sue Storm. Which I am perfectly fine with. If they cast her as Sue Storm, I like it.
That's interesting.
But she fits Jessica Drew so much better.
Okay.
She could easily be Spider-Woman. It would work, and I'm 100% there for it. I think those are your two options with that in who she's gonna play. Just because, like I said, she has to play a main character of some sort.
So I have two.
Like, they're not going to waste her presence there.
Two things that have me curious now. One, if it's Invisible Woman, would they bring her out before casting the rest of the cast for the movie? And then two, is Spider-Woman under the Spider-Man IP umbrella? Like,
no,
it is
not.
Are you sure?
Her origins are 100% Avengers.
Okay.
Spider-Girl is Spider-Man. I mean, that's his daughter. Spider-Woman is completely disconnected. Has nothing to do with Spider-Man,
okay.
technically.
I just didn't know. I was trying to figure out who owned what.
Yeah, and I'm not to be a dick for dick's sake or anything, but regardless of its source material origins, that really just depends on what Marvel signed a contract for to give to Sony. It absolutely could have included that stuff. It depends.
The way I look at it is the way they handled like the Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver.
Mm-hmm.
Because they were Avengers origin, even though they were mutants, they were Avengers primarily.
Mm-hmm.
They were allowed to be used by both. Whereas I don't even know how long after she joined in the Avengers comics that she even appeared in a Spider-Man comic. I'm sure it happened at some point, but she is quite disconnected. And I'm pretty sure she was around as Jessica Drew for a while before they revealed she was Spider-Woman.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, so maybe that might slipped through the cracks. That might be one that Marvel still has.
Yeah, like in terms of the way they've done their contracts before, I would say she's 100% with Marvel.
Okay.
But that's a guess on what they've done with their contracts before.
Yeah. Josh, what do you think of the cast in the series?
Well, I'll give one additional call out since I think everyone else of the four that you named has name recognition and immediate other project recognition. I just looked, and the fifth member there, Kingsley Ben-Adir, that you did mention, also was in that One Night in Miami movie that I mentioned. He played Malcolm X in that. So some of those folks, not like they all had long careers already before that, but several of them are finding their way right directly soon after into the world of comic book properties. I agree with Mike on Emilia Clarke. That's not going to be a supporting character, or at the very least, she's going to be extremely important and integral. I think someone like Olivia Colman is an actress that you might be able to get for a project, knowing that she doesn't necessarily have to potentially give a longer commitment beyond that. So there's a lot of like A-list actors and what in America might look like a B-list actor, but they are, A-listers in Canada, Great Britain, South America, etc. Someone like maybe Olivia Colman, who you give her the opportunity to be a part of a limited series, and it's a cool project for her to get to do something different, but she's someone who I could see not necessarily becoming so important that she needs to carry beyond this, but you still get someone who's a real big name. Emilia Clarke could go that way if you still want more credibility given to your project, and let's say she doesn't want to lock herself in for multiple things over several years, etc. But I very well, like Mike is setting up, like I could easily see the beginnings of something for her where they are giving her a role that could get connected elsewhere. We also have to keep in mind, like, for instance, if I'm on the IMDb page for Secret Invasion right now, if I scroll about halfway down the screen and it gives me the More Like This section, the More Like This are 6 other Disney Plus series coming, all of which will presumably continue to try to pull in talent like this. And I don't know if we can always assume that a big name will automatically have a place to be later. Like, they have a lot. Like, we thought they had a lot to juggle before. They have a lot to juggle in terms of storylines and characters and the actors and actresses that they pay to fill those roles. So I could see it going either way with her. This could either be a one-shot, or there might be spots for her to pop up later. I just don't know if every big name that you score for a Disney Plus series is automatically getting groomed for something more grand.
So you heard it here first from Josh. Olivia Colman's going to die in Secret Invasion.
And to your point, that's why I think somebody like Spider-Woman works. It's because even in like the Avengers comics, she turns up here and there. She's not an integral player in a lot of stories. But when she's there and she's playing a role, she plays a big part in that, and then she's gone for a while. And it's almost like they just forget about her in her existence for a while, and then she pops back up. But like the reason I think she fits so well is because she's, if I remember correctly, she's also a spy. Like with S.H.I.E.L.D.
Oh, okay.
Is like her like origin and all that, because like I don't know how much you know about Spider-Woman. But
little to nothing.
Little to nothing. Her abilities made her very good at espionage and stuff like that, because she can emit pheromones that basically allows her to control men at will.
Believable.
Kind of the way that a spider does with male spiders, like but she has, I mean, that's kind of her ability, or one of her abilities. is to do that. She doesn't really have any spider-like abilities at all. She doesn't crawl on walls or make webs or anything like that, but it made her very good at espionage. So she is a very interesting character, like, I think, for cinema, to watch on film, to watch a show of. And I think she creates some interesting scene potential for what you might actually experience when it would happen. Like, if they bring that character to screen, I think it'll be good.
Yeah, I'm excited for this cast. Marvel always does a very good job casting people, and they seem like they do a pretty good job with their characters. DC seems to be hit or miss. Marvel, I think, is for my money, sort of firing on all cylinders. Which one already gets me excited for the show, and two, Secret Invasion is something I've wanted to see since they introduced the Skrulls, and we got wind that they were going to be coming. I assumed this was going to be a big event in the MCU in the movies, that they would be doing Secret Invasion there. And now that we're getting a series, they can draw this out. They can have fun with this storyline, and I am that much more excited for what they're going to do. I'm a little bit sad, we might not see some of the big movie players involved with this because it is a series. I don't know if they're going to bring some other heroes involved, or it's just going to be Nick Fury and S.H.I.E.L.D. trying to deal with this problem, or if we're going to be seeing it affect other heroes in the world. Or, maybe we'll start seeing some of the breadcrumbs in the movies, and then it ties up in the series where certain characters start to show up as Skrulls, and you're like, wait, what the fuck? And then it's like, oh, you want to figure out what happened? Watch the series. Like, that's... Marvel can do that
would
because they're
actually
not DC.
A really fun way to explain why Thor got fat. He was a Skrull.
Well, this is the get out of jail
Thor's
free
back to
card
normal
for any
now
character
because-
that they want to bring back. Like, if suddenly Robert Downey Jr. wants to come back as Iron Man, oh, Tony Stark was a Skrull. So the real Iron Man was hidden away somewhere.
He died on screen, though.
I understand. Like, he was the baseline example. Like, I don't want them to do this.
I know.
But if they want to, like, that's the get out of jail. That's the retcon they can use for any character that has died.
It's fair. I had one other thought come to mind about Emilia Clarke, and that is just simply that, I guess it kind of swung me back toward the Invisible Woman thing a little bit, in that she is most well known for playing a blonde character. Like, Daenerys is blonde, and that's what she's known for.
So are you doubling down on Invisible Woman?
I don't know. Like, I think it's definitely one of those two. If I had to guess, it would go that route.
I'd lean more towards
both make sense.
Spider-Woman, only because I don't think we'll get any part of the Fantastic Four without the rest of them. I think if you're doing Fantastic Four, you're getting them all at once or none at all.
Do we have the whole cast yet?
We don't have any
show.
Like, there's no cast for that movie.
No, I mean of the show. Do we know this is a finalized cast and this is it?
Yeah, true.
I mean, if it comes out tomorrow that they also have cast John Krasinski in the Secret Invasion and they haven't announced a role yet, it's going to sound a lot more likely that she's going to be playing Sue Storm.
I will give you that. Yes.
So, and with the Skrulls involved, it's possible.
Okay.
Because that's that again, the Skrulls were a Fantastic Four villain first. So,
I guess part of me is thinking, like, when they do the Fantastic Four announcement, like, that's going to be a press release. That's not going to be, we're going to hide them in a show and wait till you watch the show. Like, that they're going to promote the crap out of that.
Yeah.
True, but I think if it was one character,
I think that's like that's a Comic-Con comes back or D23 virtual, like whenever it happens and whatever state that the world's at the time, that's like the marquee announcement.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you, but I don't know. I could still see it happening. I mean, how far away are we from this?
That's a good question. I don't know if this has a release date, or if it does, I did not find it.
Because that could still happen with their big announcement before this comes out. Like, you get what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like,
they do something
before this comes out, there could be a big announcement about the Fantastic Four movie, and this is our cast, and she rolls out with them. You know what I mean? Like, it still could happen that way.
Right. Well, I guess, yeah, at this point, we'll have to wait and see what happens this summer, because typically Comic-Con's in July, so we'll see if we get anything in July for this.
Yeah, have they announced what they're doing with Comic-Con? I know it's off topic.
I don't remember seeing. I mean, they tried to do some sort of virtual type event last year. I'm assuming they're trying to do the same thing this year.
Yeah,
Okay.
I believe I heard it is canceled. And the in-person event is canceled.
Yeah, so it's some sort of virtual event that
Okay.
they're going to try to do. Hopefully better than last year, because last year's was terrible.
Yeah, I don't think I even tried with last year's.
I think they were scrambling too hard like they canceled too last minute and were scrambling to get like the live events and stuff, presentations and calls and stuff set up. So it didn't seem like they were attracting the people they should. So I don't know. We'll see what happens this year. They've had much more time to prepare, so I expect better. All right, another Marvel thing to talk about. We got our first trailer for Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. This movie is directed by Destin Daniel Cretton. Same person who directed Just Mercy with Michael B. Jordan and Jamie Foxx. Movie stars Simu Liu, Aquafina, Michelle Yeoh, Florian Montenot, Tony Chi Wai Leung. I'm going to butcher everybody's name. Ronnie Chiang, and Fallen Chen. Movie set to release on September 3rd. I don't know if anybody sort of followed social media in the way this dropped, but I thought this was really fun and cool of Marvel. But the trailer dropped on April 19th, which is Simu Liu's birthday. He was very excited on social media debuting a poster for the movie on his birthday, saying, "This is what they gave me. This is my birthday present. Happy birthday to me." Like, this looks awesome. And then in that tweet for the poster is like, basically, "I don't know when the trailer's dropping. Give it a couple weeks." And then Marvel replied to him saying, "Happy birthday, Simu Liu. Here's the trailer."
Nice.
So it got the trailer trending. It got him all day on his birthday, which was really fucking cool. And he seemed genuinely surprised, which was really fun to see.
I say if that was organic and not a something that was staged, that is a really cool way to do it, because the guy basically got the part which started as him petitioning Marvel on social media for the role.
It was like 7 years ago or something.
Yeah.
I thought he was just petitioning not necessarily for the role, but just for them to make the movie.
I think at first, yes, just make Shang-Chi, and then eventually it was like, "Hey, let's talk."
Right. Like I think he was making a big deal. Like, he wants to see this, Asian focused movie on Shang-Chi because you see what this trailer looks like. It's amazing.
Yeah.
It looks like it's going to be awesome.
So,
and
sorry not to stop you, but I don't know too much
go.
about the character. I didn't know if either of you know anything about this character before we dive into the trailer talk.
Nothing worthwhile to contribute.
I would say I know what I learned from playing the Ultimate Alliance games.
Okay.
Where, if you play with Iron Fist, you learn a little bit about Shang-Chi.
Okay.
You get, some little story droplets and stuff like that along the way that talk about him, but, he generally doesn't play a very big role.
Yeah, he's definitely a, lower down the list side character that at least I definitely don't know much of. So I'm excited to see him sort of, thrust into the limelight and be part of this big MCU.
Yeah, I really hope this can kick off for them kind of the way the Guardians did, where they were fairly relatively unknown characters.
Yeah.
You had heard Guardians of the Galaxy, but they didn't get their comic book read that much.
Right.
You had seen Star-Lord pop up here and there. Same with Shang-Chi. I know of Shang-Chi. I've seen him in comics and in the video games turn up, but I don't really know a lot about the character.
Yeah.
I hope this movie does for that character what Guardians did,
All right, so let's talk about the trailer. What did you guys think of the trailer?
My immediate reaction afterward was this. So I'm gonna state this and then swing it into what I think my greater point is. So my immediate thought was, that looks like a really cool martial arts movie.
Sure.
And when I realized, when I came to that what I thought, okay, that's a very simple conclusion. So how does Marvel make this seem like more than a cool martial arts movie? And then I had to pause because I had to realize, if not to diminish it, but if that's what it becomes, is there anything wrong with that? Because when I really think about their other movies, yeah, some of them have extra science that doesn't exist, and some of them are space, and some of them are quasi-supernatural or mystical and whatnot. Several of, like, honestly, at its heart, Guardians of the Galaxy could be a thing that exists in and of itself that never had any tie to any of this shit.
Yeah.
It is a sci-fi, space creatures, Star Wars-esque type of creation. So, could this just... shouldn't it be okay that, based on what we were presented so far, if this just looks like a really well done, hopefully well done, martial arts, with the story surrounding it type of movie, do I need to compartmentalize that thought in what I've come to think of as Marvel movies? And I think I need to work on that, because I don't think, like, there shouldn't be anything wrong with that idea. I think I've come to think of the MCU in a certain way, and so hopefully there's the extra elements within this story, like understanding really what the Mandarin is, and what the actual, like, Legend of the Ten Rings is, what that network means, what it all means, really. This is also one of the first characters in a very long time, and Mike, I think your Guardians parallel is even more important to me in this moment for this, because this might be the first time in quite a number of years where we've had basically a brand new introduction of something that seemingly seems 100% disconnected. Like, I know, yes, we got Doctor Strange, and that was a new origin movie. Yeah, but we knew. You know where it comes from. It's in the city. It's in the timeline. We understand where it's possibly going to go, etc. This seems like a very big wild card, and we haven't gotten a wild card in a while. But in terms of the look of the movie itself, what we got from the trailer, very, very intriguing.
Yeah, I think to your question, is it okay just to have a good kung fu movie? Yes, it is, because I think Marvel does a good job of trying to hit different genres, and this is a genre they have not tackled yet. So I want to see what a Marvel movie looks like as a kung fu movie, and if the trailer's any indication, it looks fucking cool. So I'm here for it.
Right.
And sort of your other point of something that we haven't sort of seen before, it helps. Just for me, not knowing much about Shang-Chi, really anything at all, I want to go to a Marvel movie not knowing anything about these characters. Like, to experience it just completely clean slate is something that I haven't really done with a lot of Marvel movies, because even peripherally, like, I know a little bit about each of these characters we've seen, so I have a sort of kind of idea what to expect. I don't really know what I'm looking for in this movie, or what the movie's going to tell me, and I just want it to happen.
Mm-hmm.
I think on a couple points. One, you're going to get your supernatural end to this. There's going to be a supernatural element, and that's through the Ten Rings. I don't know how much, like, I may not know much about Shang-Chi, but I know plenty about the Mandarin. It's a good, difference between the two. They're using a very well-known villain in the Marvel Universe with a fairly relatively unknown hero.
So we are getting, like, actual Mandarin, right? Not Trevor Slattery Mandarin. We're getting Mandarin.
Supposedly, the one guy you see in the trailer is the Mandarin.
Okay, I was gonna ask that question.
There is
with the
guy
Ten Ring
with
halo around him, looking like
yeah. Supposedly, that's gonna be our Mandarin. Like, don't get me wrong, I love Trevor Slattery as a character. I adored that role for Ben Kingsley. I thought that was fucking fantastic. Do I want to see that again? No, I've seen that.
Well, I think this is something Marvel had to work up to. You can't in a world where they were making Iron Man 3, cast one Asian dude as the villain in the stereotypical Asian role and not expect to get shit for it. So they went the other route and said, we're going to spin this on its head and get this white British guy to play him and have fun with it. and then they got shit for that. So it was a lose-lose situation for them. They took the lesser of two evils, but now they have worked up to a point where they can have an Asian cast with an Asian director and really lean into that tone and make it right.
And I think
Yes.
they can.
And I think that's an important thing.
Absolutely. And I don't think they need to rely heavily on it, but all they need is a small discussion in part of a scene that talks about, the imposter and the bastardization and the exploitation of the 10 rings for someone else's gain, because you get that Hail to the King one shot. And I don't know if you're going to get, another cameo in this from Scoot, but, all you need is that little connective thread there and say, and you could even allude to the events of Iron. Like, this is literally one of the, probably the most long-lasting taffy pull storylines in the MCU. Like, the 10 rings were barely, I wouldn't even say discussed hardly. Like, they were kind of mentioned and alluded to, but yeah, Iron Man, like, from the outset, like, it's right there. So there's a lot that they can kind of pull the taffy on that from without necessarily having to connect dots or whatever. You just tell us why what we've seen before either quasi mattered, or like why it was an abomination and why it was an insult, or these, like, just give me a little bit of that, and it's all solved. I only need a little bit of breadcrumbs there, and we're good.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. And it's something I wanted to point out too, that the reason that the Mandarin is such a poorly received character in terms of, like, the racist representation of the Mandarin originally is really just the Mandarin story doesn't really apply to that. It was the depiction of the character and the way it was originally drawn and represented and calling it the Mandarin. And but the story of the Mandarin is not really like some racist tale as far as I know. It doesn't have those undertones to it. It's a supernatural story. It's just the way the character was drawn was very, very racist originally.
Yeah, that's what I remember.
So I think telling the story the right way is perfectly fine for the Mandarin. It's just something where it has to be done right with all of this. I would say that's true for any Marvel story. You got to do it right.
Yeah.
And in this case, I mean, it looks good. We'll see what the final product is. But the character, and like I said, with the supernatural abilities and stuff like that you're going to get, it may be less pure martial arts based movie than you expect. It may have that kind of origin to it where it starts and feels that way at the beginning, and as things unravel, it starts to expand and become much less realistic. I don't know what Josh's face is about right now, but I feel like something must have just happened.
So I was looking at the writers, because Brian, you talked about the director. There are 3 listed screenwriters for this. One is the director. The other is a gentleman named Andrew Lanham, who also worked on Just Mercy with the same director. So they came back for this. Okay. He also has some other credits. The Glass Castle, which was I think it was I know it was Brie Larson, and I think it was also Woody Harrelson maybe. But the other co-writer of this, Dave Callahan, he is credited back as far as about 2005. His first feature credit was Doom, that we mentioned earlier with The Rock.
Call him back.
Yeah. But he went on to...
I hope it's gotten better.
Be a writer on the Expendables franchise. He credited with story. Mike, you would like this. He is credited with story on 2014's Godzilla.
Okay. It's improving. It's getting a little better than Doom.
He is on the screenplay for Zombieland Double Tap.
Okay.
And also, and this might give you mixed feelings, but Wonder Woman 84 screenplay.
Okay.
Screenplay.
I'm waiting to hear the one that like made your face do that thing that we saw.
Oh, we're gonna get there. We're gonna get there. He's on the screenplay for Mortal Kombat that's about to release.
All right.
Like tomorrow. Nice.
And then coming up after this, he is also on the writing staff for Into the Spider-Verse 2.
Okay.
The thing, however, that made me make the face you saw is a movie that I guess is filming. It's in filming status right now. It's called America, the Motion Picture. I have not heard about this at all, but very quickly, because we can't not mention this to people after having found this. It doesn't have a release date, but it's slated right now for 2021 release, but we'll see. America, the Motion Picture. A chainsaw-wielding George Washington teams with beer-loving bro Sam Adams to take down the Brits in a tongue-in-cheek riff on the American Revolution. The cast: Channing Tatum as George Washington, Simon Pegg as King James. They have Judy Greer, Bobby Monahan, Killer Mike. Now, I will say these are all credited as voice, so maybe this is going to be like a Sausage Party or Team America type of animation, depending on which, but that gentleman is listed as the sole screenwriter for that project, and I'm here for it.
Until it is likely animated, I was very much like really excited, like, oh my god, that would be amazing. I'm still kind of excited.
If it's animated, you've gained me, so we're on board.
Well, no, I mean, here's the thing: like, it's still Simon Pegg, and it's still Channing Tatum. Like, it's still got those things going for it. It's just be that next level, you know, if it was live. But no, I'm all for this.
Yeah, before I noticed the voice credits on everybody, I was thinking, okay, this is like Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter type of, you know, offshoot alt history kind of thing. But
yeah,
so that is one of your writing, that is your writing team that is bringing us Shang-Chi.
Okay. Passed my test. I'm here for it.
Yeah.
Anything else for the trailer? Or we got one other thing we can touch on. Oh, I actually just want to point out the I had to replay it like 3 or 4 times. There's 2 scenes. The one is the when they're fighting in the building with the neon behind them, and there's a whole like knife catching scene there that looks fucking cool. And I can't tell if it was practical or if there's a special effect there. If it is practical, that is insane. Like he like smacks it out of the guy's hand and it flips around in midair and he just reaches out and grabs it. Like it's cool. And then the double punch, double kick on the bus was the other one that I was like, I gotta rewind the tape because that looked fucking cool too.
So, speaking of like I agree, those look cool. But what drew my attention, and it's a question I know we have not discussed Falcon and Winter Soldier yet, but do we think that's Madripoor?
Oh, where Shang-Chi takes place.
Yeah. They like the neon lights and all that, and it kind of has that same similar kind of look to it.
That'd be
I
cool
hadn't
if it
even
was.
thought that. Yeah, that'd be a good tie-in.
Together. Yeah.
Like we who knows what we're gonna get tomorrow?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like there could be some breadcrumb in tomorrow's episode that leads us just a little thing. I'm not saying a big thing that leads to Shang-Chi, but just something
right
that would lead us there.
Yeah.
Could come tomorrow. Could be the timing of this trailer drop is very planned so that we recognize something from the trailer in the episode.
Yeah, that could be. Yeah. Not a bad pull. Yeah, we'll reconvene on that for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, last call for trailer. Anything else for Shang-Chi? Nothing? All right. Final topic for us, which honestly it was in the quick hit thing for a minute, and then more shit happened with this, and then I threw it on the list for us to dive into because now I'm like, what the fuck? So Sony movies. So we talked about what Disney is bringing to their streaming service, how Warner Brothers is putting all their movies on HBO Max, and really how a lot of these studios have all seemed to have their own streaming platform to drop their own stuff on. One studio that I've kind of been curious about where their stuff would end up is Sony. Sony does not have their own streaming platform, at least not yet. They've had a deal with Starz to put a lot of their content on the Starz network. That deal is expiring. And starting a few weeks ago, they made some pretty big moves. Two big moves. First, they signed with Netflix, which gives Netflix exclusive U.S. rights to stream Sony Pictures movies in the first pay TV window, starting with the studio's 2022 slate. And then just yesterday, they announced that they made a deal with Disney to bring Spider-Man and other major franchises along with library rights to franchises like Jumanji and Hotel Transylvania to Disney Plus in the post-Pay 1 release window. So that's a lot of information. What does that mean? So basically it means that when Sony releases a movie in 2022, that movie will release in theaters, first for the theatrical run, which is, typically 90 days. Some studios got that down to 45. I don't really know where Sony falls on that, so it's one of the two. Then the movie will hit release to rent, own, home video, that kind of thing. Variety reports that after about 9 months after the theatrical release, the movie lands on Netflix. Deadline added to that and said that Netflix has 18 months of exclusivity for Sony to stream that movie. After that time, that's when. All right, so wait. After the home video purchases and rentals, first pay is the first pay TV window. So that's the time, the 18 months that Netflix has it. That is considered the first pay TV window. After the 18 months on Netflix, it comes to either Disney Plus and Hulu, since that is all Disney owned. It could eventually make its way onto Disney-owned cable channels like ABC, Disney Channels, Freeform, FX, National Geographic. Any of those are all Disney-owned. Both of these deals seem to have the same time frame, so they both cover Sony's theatrical releases from 2022 to 2026. Both releases for Netflix and Disney, even though there's this, the timeline works for theatrical movies, that it's in a movie theater, it's on home video, it's on Netflix, it's on Disney. That's the timeline. Library stuff that is not being released in theaters first, that has been out, that is out for years. Both places saying they get library titles and franchise titles. So I don't know what ends up. So obviously, I guess, because when the Netflix deal was announced, it was like, oh, okay, all the Spider-Man movies are going to end up on Netflix.
Right.
Well, the press release for Disney specifically says they're getting Spider-Man movies. So which ones and when? All the old ones, I don't know where they're ending up, because it seems like both places have them. Unless they're going to end up in both places. I don't know. Maybe that's a thing.
Yeah, and specifically when you sent us the info and just like the first paragraph or two, I really honed in on the starting with 2022 releases, because all the details you just laid out there on the non-library stuff will not up to and not include Spider-Man 3 No Way Home, because that's a December 2021 release. So
so maybe that might be tied into the old Starz agreement, that it ends up on Starz and stuff before going anywhere else.
Well, I guess that would be my next question, is, based on what you just said about the library stuff. So I think how some of the reports hit me at first were the writers and the websites are happy to use the word Spider-Man in describing things.
Yes.
But for instance, if they're in a blanket way saying the Spider-Man movies, and some of them did then kind of mention Venom 2 and Morbius, because now Morbius is going to have a delayed release and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I didn't really see anything necessarily saying anything about actual Spider-Man films that already exist. So I'm not sure what donut hole that falls into or not.
See, I'm assuming at some point the Spider-Man movies that are released as sort of, quote unquote part of the MCU, but made by Sony, will end up on Disney Plus, because that completes the catalog. Disney probably wants all that stuff in one place for the people that are trying to go through the franchise and the MCU. You want all that stuff in one-stop shop.
Agreed.
But again, all that stuff has come out years prior. which would be considered a library title for Sony. So I'm still unsure if it goes to Netflix or Disney, or maybe I'm reading it both ways. Maybe it is both. Maybe they both get it, and you just have two avenues to go to find that stuff. I didn't really think about that until just talking about it now, but the press releases aren't as clear as I would like them to be.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think you misread anything or didn't read it deep enough. I don't think it gives sufficient descriptions on those things.
Yeah.
Because it kind of sounds great. Like, yeah, the timeline you laid out for, something gets released in 2022. It is in theaters for X amount of time. It's at Redbox for X amount of time. It's at Netflix for 18 months. After that, it goes to Disney, potentially. So even given that timeline, it sounds like a 2022 movie won't get to Disney Plus till 2024.
Right. So, which is funny to me that they write these headlines that Spider-Man's coming to Disney Plus. No, it's not. In 4 fucking years, it's coming there. So, what the hell are you writing it for now?
And it might not be Spider-Man anyway.
Because the deal was just signed.
Right.
And they can write the story again in a year to tell you that it's happening.
Yeah.
And then again in another year to tell you that it's
Every
happening.
month they're going to remind you, do you remember Spider-Man's coming to Disney in 2.5 years?
I mean, that's what a lot of these media news outlets do, isn't it? They just tell you the same shit over and over again.
So the one thing, there's no money figure that's been officially announced, but a lot of places are reporting that it's rumored between the two deals, between Sony licensing their stuff to Netflix and Disney, that Sony has made $3 billion.
Just on licensing fees?
Yeah, for these two, because it's not just a movie. Like, this is their catalog. It's anything under Sony Pictures.
Which also includes Columbia now.
Yeah.
Remember
all their,
this,
like,
which also
subsidiary.
includes some really big important thing that's behind you.
Yeah.
Quite prevalently.
Yeah, so Ghostbusters is going to be on Netflix.
Yes.
All right.
So, yeah, it's and my first thought when I read the Disney deal was that, well, shit, the whole plan of Sony Pictures needs to fail so that Disney can buy Spider-Man is now not going to happen because they made $3 billion.
Right. I wonder what Disney's portion of that they coughed up, and if during those negotiations they tried again, look, we're not going to give you just $1 billion for a couple of years of movie streaming rights for all of your shit. Just look, how much do you want for Spider-Man? Just give them back.
And the other flip side of it, yes, okay, Marvel probably will never own Spider-Man flat out. But if they are playing nice together, maybe when this current deal expires after the next 2 Spider-Man movies, they can renegotiate again and have something where they can work something out and
Wait,
have
it's
more.
2 movies now?
When they re-upped, they
Yeah, I thought it was an appearance in a movie.
From what I understood and read, it was 2 movies. So Spider-Man 3 is 1. Tom Holland gets a second movie in the MCU. Whether or not I'm assuming it's another Avengers movie somewhere down the line. That's an assumption.
Okay, fair enough.
Could be Spider-Man 4. I don't know how they're going to play it.
Okay.
But yeah, right now our end date is that whatever that second movie is the last Tom Holland appearance in the MCU. As of right now.
Yeah, I just had an idea of a perfect world where we see Tom Holland grow older as Peter through the years, and eventually, years and years down the line from now, they have him introduce Miles. They introduce Miles way down the line, when Peter is actually old enough in the timeline so that it works and gels with the way that it actually would have, so that we get that stretch with Peter, and then he just kind of hands it over to Miles in the live action movies, and we don't recast Peter. He's just there in the background for, a cameo here and there, and then Miles takes over. It's just, I'm sorry, the tangent.
I like where your head's
it
at.
Came to my mind.
Yeah. I would much support that, but I don't want to hold my breath for it. I'm very, very unoptimistic about that. I don't know, because this whole, we've talked about it so many times that I just feel like I understand that I'm repeating myself, but that whole deal with Sony and Marvel gives me such anxiety. I'm waiting for the fact that we had one instance where they were just like, nope, we're not playing well together, we're done, see ya. That could technically happen at any moment.
I mean, I really wish Disney would just do it for their fans. They have the money. They could just be like, here, take $10 billion, Spider-Man's ours again.
And again, I think,
They could just throw it that
Sony
way.
Pictures was struggling. They were on the verge of bankruptcy, and now they bounced back. And now they got $3 billion, so they are not going to go through bankruptcy again anytime soon. So until that happens, I think Sony will have Spider-Man.
But I mean, like, there's got to be a number.
According to, like, if you go back to when they had to re-up the deal to begin with, or when they made that first deal to share the character, like, Sony refused to sell. It didn't matter what number Disney was throwing at them. They were like, no.
I mean, there's always, everybody's got a price.
And maybe that changes based on people's leadership. Like, I don't know if the same people are still in charge of Sony, but at the time, they weren't having it.
Sure.
I can also see Disney, like, no matter how much money they have, when you spend, what was it, like close to $70 billion to buy Fox Studios.
I don't remember that number, but it was big.
And yeah, like, they spent a few billion to buy Lucasfilm and a few billion to buy Marvel Studios and Pixar. That becomes different than justifying X number of potentially billions of dollars for, even if you get, quote, the universe of characters back, you're buying one character. You're buying Spider-Man. At some point, regardless if they have the money, there's just a business decision that they have to look people in the eye.
But does it always have to be a business decision? Does everything have to be a business decision?
For businesses,
this one just be about what's right?
For the people whose money it is, potentially. I'm not saying I want them to make a different decision. I'm just not shocked if they don't.
It's just one of those things that just drives me nuts.
Oh, I know.
Everything's got to be a business decision.
Yeah,
no,
they
have all this money this Disney has. They could just.
Well, I think, to Josh's point, it's like they sort of hid the X-Men and whatever other Marvel properties are in Fox with the purchase of Fox. If they are not buying Sony Pictures and sort of hiding Spider-Man in there and just trying to flat out buy Spider-Man, and they pay twice as much as they did for Fox Studios. Like,
I'm not saying 140 billion, but like when you buy Lucasfilm and you buy the IP rights to Star Wars,
right,
for what, $4 billion,
somewhere in there, yeah.
Putting
I think
a price
Marvel
tag
was like $7 billion.
Yeah, putting a price tag and say even we're gonna spend $1 billion, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 to have Spider-Man. The scales.
I don't know.
Scales
I don't know
visually,
what the price would be.
I know, and we'll never know any behind the scenes details of what they may have tried to negotiate or not. But a very interesting detail, I wonder, is the original licensing contract from 98, 2000, whenever it was made. I wonder how granular it got and how forward thinking Sony's lawyers were, because Miles Morales is only 10 years old. It was a character developed well after that deal was made, and I wonder if the licensing is for, any character who ever dons the mask of, quote, the Spider-Man, or if it's for Peter Parker and Venom and Morbius and these characters, how granular it got, because if Sony decides we're going to have a gap in our storytelling because we're going to go off and do this stuff ourselves or whatever, does Marvel still own Miles Morales? And could they just introduce Spider-Man at a time when it looks opportune?
My assumption is that Sony owns the Spider-Man IP. Anything under the Spider-Man umbrella, new or old, is Sony's.
Okay.
And it's only for movies. Sony does not own television rights to Spider-Man anymore. That has gone back to Disney. Disney is making animated Spider-Man. That's why it's ending up on Disney Plus. That is a Disney-owned cartoon. The only thing that Sony seems to have access to is film rights. Possibly, I guess I'm a little bit unsure about the video games too, because Sony keeps making Spider-Man specific video games that are only available on Sony platforms. So I don't know if that's part of their thing too, but definitely film rights for sure.
Yeah, the whole video game thing, I could get into a bunch on how it's actually less profitable for them to make those games exclusive, but that's...
Oh, I agree. That the exclusivity shit
discussion
pisses me off, but that's a whole other topic.
Yeah, it is a whole other topic. I just think individually with Spider-Man, I think their other games, they're fine to do it, and it makes sense. But I think with Spider-Man specifically, they'd make more money putting that on Switch and Xbox and PC.
Yeah, for sure.
There's more money to be made there than by making it exclusive.
Spider-Man just prints money, no matter where you put him.
Yes. Right. We make them available to more people, you'll just make more money.
All right, so not even talking specifically about Spider-Man, about this streaming deal with Sony and Netflix and Disney, what do you guys think? Good, bad?
I don't know if I know yet.
Weird.
It seems quasi-convoluted so far, and it's still a long way away. Like, before I would be able to, quote, see the results of it. Like, even on Netflix, like, I'm a Netflix subscriber as well. So the earliest is Sony releases a property in January of 2022. It's not going to hit Netflix till September, October, maybe. So I'm still a year and a half away from any of this materializing. I don't know if I can contextualize it very well.
Yeah, I mean, you're probably more likely to see a lot of back catalog stuff and other franchises under Sony start showing up on Netflix before anything else. I don't know how soon that's going to happen. I don't know if that's going to be the end of this year, beginning of next year, or something like that. But, you know, like I know they name dropped like Bad Boys, and, you know, like Mike said, Ghostbusters is under Sony, Jumanji, and, you know, all these other. Of course, Jumanji was in the press release for Disney, so I don't fucking know anymore. But I think it's one of those things.
It sounds to me a lot like they're going to end up on both.
Again, and that's sort of how I'm interpreting it now. I think people are maybe less concerned with the back catalog. The new movies, I think, have a lot more going for them, and that's probably what people have their eyes on.
Yeah.
So we'll have to see. And I mean, I'm curious what would show up on Disney Plus of Sony's. I feel like most of Sony's stuff would end up on Hulu, and really the only thing making its way to Disney Plus would be the Marvel stuff. Anything under that Spider-Man umbrella from Sony. Like, I don't see them putting Bad Boys on Disney Plus. That's not going to happen.
No, and Disney wants to keep those two separate enough and have enough draw for both of them to get people to subscribe to both. Like, I mean, I dropped the Hulu subscription because I just didn't see a reason to have it anymore. You know, like, it just wasn't really doing anything.
Yeah.
And am I going to get it back when Sony movies go on there? If that's where they put them? No.
Well, plus
that's not moving the needle.
Especially if you have your option between Netflix or Hulu for Sony movies.
Well, right. Especially since Comcast includes my Netflix subscription in the cost of my cable.
Yeah, so you're set.
So, yeah, like, it's a lot of them do that. You know what I mean? Like, Netflix is ingrained very well. And if they want to move the needle on getting me to subscribe to Hulu, I really don't know how they can do that. Like, that MODOK series is like, oh, yeah, hey, cool, but I'll catch it whenever it's not on Hulu someday. Because it won't be someday. It won't.
I'd hope eventually it makes its way to Disney. I guess I thought there was a cut of the trailer that I didn't actually watch, but I thought somebody involved with the show tweeted a trailer for, like, that's basically the same trailer that's out there now, but it's more adult oriented. So the one that was cut up was more quote unquote friendly.
Well, yeah, I mean, and that's my, like, I guess concern is, like, if they start to move the more adult content only on Hulu, so things like Deadpool come out, but only on Hulu.
Right, I can see that.
Things like the Wolverine movies, only to Hulu. You know, like, that might start to move the needle if I didn't own all of them.
I think the only
like, it's
I really think all the Wolverine movies are on Disney Plus except Logan. I don't think Logan has made its way there, which I'm assuming that would end up on Hulu because that is much more adult than anything that's.
Is Origins on there?
I thought so.
I'm looking right now because like any of these, unless they at some point, if they decide to reorganize, they they have many of their MCU highlighted stuff, and then they have the Marvel Legacy section, which is all the prior Fantastic Four or X-Men stuff that they have rights to at the moment.
I thought for sure at least the Wolverine I know I've seen on there.
Okay.
I thought I did too, but now
I have that one digitally. Like, I think the physical copy I bought of that came with a digital, so I have that on, like, the Movies Anywhere thing.
Yeah, and now I'm searching too, Josh, that when I search for Wolverine, I just get X-Men, Days of Future Past, and X2. and then some cartoons. So maybe they didn't. Maybe they already started moving the Wolverine movies off of there. I don't know. I could have sworn they were on there before.
I don't know if I remember seeing Origins or not. Not, it's not like I look every.
I feel
week
like the
or
Wolverine
so,
probably, but
but I know I saw the Wolverine previously, but yeah, they could be doing what you are saying. I've also heard talk, and I mean, maybe they just won't, and this is wishful thinking. I wish they would just put not like a separate platform or website, but I hate to say it, like a mature section on Disney Plus in a way. Like,
it works the same way
put
as
some
so
R-rated
many
movies,
things
put
do
some
with
stuff, I
that.
don't know.
Give us the neon lights and the beaded entrance, just like the old video stores used to.
Right.
I think Disney is very much aware that those things don't work in today's world. It's just kind of like go onto any platform that has an adult section to watch streaming content, and it's just a click.
Yeah. Are you
It's like-
18? Yes. Continue.
Yeah, like I mean, that's all they are. And what is Disney going to do? Require a password every time an adult wants to watch an R-rated
Give
movie?
us your
and then
retinal
piss
scan.
off the adults with the password every time they want to watch an R-rated movie.
Maybe. I mean, if it came to that, and you said like, do you want to turn on parental controls, yes or no? And you could either have them on all the time or have them off, and okay, every time you are accessing anything with a rating, motion picture rating over PG-13, you'll be prompted for something, or a TV rating over this. I just think it'd be easier because I'm not going to separately get Hulu just because I ever want the complete X-Men or Wolverine catalog. It's just not.
And to
gonna
Josh's
happen.
point, like if you put that ability to have parental controls in there, it's not on Disney anymore. If someone bitches, well, my 4-year-old access this movie when he shouldn't have. Well, did you put the parental controls on? No. Well, that's your own fucking fault. That's what they're there for.
Right. And I think the difference is like a lot of the Fox stuff that they inherited doesn't necessarily have to go on Disney Plus. Not everything should be there,
No.
but this stuff is from the same IP.
Yeah.
The Wolverine and Logan are from all of
sure.
these connected stories, and they are part of it. It belongs there as a cohesive storytelling library. So
Yeah.
for those purposes, if you filter out certain things and say what else does this, what limited number of things could we put on this platform, and maybe give some people some controls over, I think that would be fine.
Well, and I think to what Brian was saying, like it not being on them, I don't think that's their actual concern. I don't think they give a shit about kids watching R-rated movies or not. It's the additional pain in the ass to deal with all the complaints. And it's the additional stress on the customer service lines and all the bullshit that you have to deal with on that end. If you have a Disney service that has R-rated movies on it, you gotta do like we always say, assume people are really stupid. And I think Disney is doing that at this point, saying they don't want the headache.
So you think no
having
matter
to deal
no
with
matter what they might try to reasonably implement, irrational people will just bitch and moan.
With something like that,
All
yeah,
the Karens in the world will be
absolutely.
calling Disney hotline saying,
Yeah, how'd my kid get on here? And then you have to have your customer service people saying, well, it's your fault, dumbass.
yeah, legally we're covered.
And they can't say that because you just called Disney. Like,
Yeah, I guess it would cover Disney legally for people to, so they're safe from those complaints. But as a customer service rep, your job is not to be like, okay, fuck you, see ya. No, you have to try to appease the customers. So if they're bitching at you for that long, you have to be like, okay, I'll give you a free month of this because you bitched.
I
right.
guess I can see
And
that
then some of the people will call just to get that free
Yeah.
month without the actual issue being a
Yeah.
thing. So you just create all this extra hassle for just R-rated content that you can put on the other service that you also own that has plenty of that already and doesn't advertise itself as Disney.
Yeah.
Because everybody knows what Disney is about.
True, and I know there are Disney Plus Hulu bundles that
With ESPN
that,
Plus.
yeah,
too.
that if you want that you can get. I mean, my personal, like for me, they're not going to get another dollar out of me for a bundle with Hulu because they are scared to put certain things that are already tied
Oh,
to
yeah,
certain
no,
stuff they have on Disney Plus there.
Yeah.
And that,
Right.
that might not be enough to make the needle move. And I understand that. I'm sure there's a lot of people who think similarly to me in that regard, and they might not give a shit. And that's fine.
I mean, for us, I mean, I guess the thing that was hardest to give up was knowing that, like, the next time It's Always Sunny drops a season, I'm gonna have to just buy that season and not have it just available on Hulu. And I thought about it, and I'm like, I'm okay with that. Like, that's the only show that, like, Hulu has exclusive to that I actually really watch. So, that and Dave. Dave was really good, but oh well.
I don't know, anything else for Sony stuff? I think we've talked for close to a little over 2 hours, so it's pretty full episode. I think
It's meaty. There's a lot of information.
I mean, all things considered, for not doing this for 4 months, I think 2 hours is a pretty good runtime for us. I thought for sure there was a chance we might end up at 3 hours.
yeah, I mean, we did good.
All right, last call. Anything else? We good? All good? All right. Time to wrap it up. So, we sort of teased, I'm sure next couple weeks, we're probably either going to do Falcon and Winter Soldier or Mortal Kombat, depending on who watches what this weekend. So one of those two will probably be the next episode that we do. And then if whatever one we don't do will probably be the episode after that. So tune in for both of those coming at some point in the future.
And then keep in mind to follow at some point also in that mix. Maybe after both of those will be our next Rewind Theater episode with Valerian in the City of a Thousand Planets.
Oh, Mike, yeah, that's the next movie up. Valerian won the wheel. So we're finally getting to Valerian.
I've been waiting that for the start. Because I know you haven't watched it. And that's
yes, I have not watched that one. So, yeah, if we have sort of a gap in the schedule, I feel like we're at the point where, like, especially with summer movies coming out, like, I think Rewind Theater is going to take a back seat to a lot of stuff that's going to start coming through the pipe. Between, other series happening, other movies that are going to start hitting. So we'll have to, we're probably not going to be doing them every other week like we were doing, so hopefully you're okay waiting 3 or 4 weeks possibly for Rewind Theaters. We'll see where we go, but we might actually have like a gap in the schedule around then to fit one in.
Yeah, well, that gives the listeners even more time to try to catch up for the discussion with us instead of always being sort of crunched into a 2-week time frame.
That's true, yeah. So there's no excuses for you to not watch this movie with us.
And we will know if you didn't.
That's right. Those comments get scarce when no one watches.
Won't listen.
All right, so if you've enjoyed the show, please support us. Leave a 5-star rating and review. Be sure to give us a share on social media. You can follow us on Spotify, iTunes, Google, Anchor, Stitcher, hopefully anywhere you're finding podcasts, you can find us. You can find us on Facebook. Search Bry Guy and the Super Friends. Go to facebook.com/Bry Guy Super Friends. You can leave us questions, comments, topic suggestions, any of that good stuff there. Feel free to try to email at bryguysuperfriends@gmail.com. It's there. It works. I won't check it. Find it later. Hit us up on Twitter at BGSuperFriends. Mike mentioned earlier, I am still on Twitch at Jedi Bry Guy. That's Jedi with an I, Bry with a Y. If we ever do live shows that may or may not be in a hot tub, you can find us there. Game
they will be.
Play that I may or may not stream also could be there. So feel free to follow. On behalf of Josh, Mike, and myself, thanks for listening, and we'll talk to you next time.